Welcome! Hi, this is Ethan. Have you ever wanted to easily see the memory usage of your containers? Today we are going to be doing just that using rules. Before we go into making the rules though, let's see our setup by going into the cluster browser. We have three applications, Nginx 1, 2, and 3. As you can see, there's a marker next to them. The red RAM stick means high memory usage, yellow means medium memory usage, and then no RAM stick means low memory usage. We can verify this by looking at the resources for each container. As you can see, the first container has 128 megabyte memory usage, so it has no RAM stick marker next to it since it has a low memory usage. The second container has a yellow RAM stick because it's between 600 megabytes and 4 gigabytes, so it has medium memory usage. Finally, we have our last container that is more than or equal to 4 gigabytes of usage, so it has a high memory marker. If we want a quicker way to find all this info, we could go into search and type Nginx. As you can see, it shows results from multiple clusters. To filter further, we can select container and then the desired memory marker, and finally, select a specific cluster. Now we can click on our container and see that it does indeed have a memory marker next to it in the cluster browser. Why do we want to use memory markers? Well, it makes it easy to see where all our resources are going. If we have a cluster with limited resources, we want to make sure that our containers aren't using up too much memory. The Kubevious rule we are writing today makes it easy to determine visually what the memory usage is for each item. It can also help with diagnosing performance issues in general by being able to quickly browse for memory usage issues. Now that we know why we want to classify our memory usage, let's get started by going to our rules. First, let's type the name of our rule, container memory usage. Next, let's type select container. This will send all the containers in our cluster to our rule script, which will then process them. We can now go to our rule script section. Let's type the following to get the memory request for each container. Now let's add an if-else statement. If there is no value, we throw a warning. We can now add a series of if statements to classify the memory. The first one will get the memory in gigabytes and see if it's more than 4 gigabytes. This will be for high memory usage. Let's add a marker for it. We can now add an else if statement to see if the memory in megabytes is more than 600. This is for medium memory usage. Let's add the marker for it. We can now hit create to apply our rule. Let's go to the marker section and create a marker called high memory user with a red RAM stick. Let's repeat this process for the medium memory user as well. As a side note, for the markers to work correctly, we must make sure that the name matches the name inside the mark function. Now let's look at our results. As you can see in the cluster browser, each container is shown with its respective memory marker. We can go into resources to see if this is all correct. As you can see, the first container is 128 megabyte memory limit, so it has no marker since it's low memory. The second container has a yellow RAM stick because it's between 600 megabytes and 4 gigabytes, so it's medium memory usage. Finally, we have our last container, which is more than or equal to 4 gigabytes of usage, so it has a high memory marker. We can also go into affected objects for each rule and also verify that it's working correctly. As you can see, all the same containers listed in the cluster browser are also listed here, which confirms that the rule does indeed work. We can also click on an item to see it in the cluster. We can also go into the affected objects for each marker to see if the markers are working correctly as well. As you can see here, a red marker lists the same objects as in the cluster. And a yellow marker also lists all the same objects. So we know both markers are working correctly. Anyhow, that's all for today. If you'd like to try this yourself, go to Kubevious.io to start writing rules for your own cluster in just a few minutes. Thank you for watching, and tune in again next time to see how Kubevious can improve your Kubernetes workflow. Thank you!